This is Comic Picks by the Glick. Boom.
Hey, and again, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick.
Hey, so, yeah, as I promised to you last week, or like a few minutes ago, depending on your frame of reference. Yeah, it's like, I'm here to talk about Naoki Urasawa's latest series, or series that recently wrapped up in English, Pluto, his adaptation of Osamu Tezuka's Astro Boy story, The Greatest Robot on Earth. Now, the thing is, this is an interesting series because it shows something that really doesn't happen often at all in manga, because there's as opposed to a lot of most American comics, a lot of Japanese comics, pretty much all of Japanese comic books are creator owned. So you're not going to have a Manji from Blade of the Immortal crossing over with Alucard from Kota Hirano's Hellsing, unless both authors really wanted to do so. That just ain't going to happen. I mean, the only time I've seen that happening is when the cast of the Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service crossed over with Reishi Akiba from Mail. But that's only because both series had the same artist, and there you go. But with Pluto, I mean, it's just get one of the manga's top writer artists, who's been hailed as the next Tezuka himself, adapting one of Tezuka's most classic Astro Boy stories. Now, to be honest, my exposure to Astro Boy only extends as far as the manga that Dark Horse has published, and I've got about 10 volumes of it. And then I gave up the ghost because, it's not that it's bad, but like I said about a lot of Tezuka's early period stuff, I mean, it's just pitched at a kiddie audience, at a much younger audience.
Right.
It's a lot of the back matter stuff from Pluto is from a lot of writer artists or creators, notable people from the anime and manga fields who remember the Astro Boy arc that Urasawa is adapting, and they talk about they just say lots of good things about how well he's handled that kind of thing. But just the fact that he's actually adapting an existing story or tackling just another creator's creation, I mean, that's a big deal right there in manga. And it's the stakes are high, and to be honest, it seems to have gone over real well in Japan. And also to a large extent over here as well, because it's had lots of good things said about it by the critics, and also it's been nominated for some Eisner Awards this year as well, next to 20th Century Boys. Now, as you'll know, it's I think 20th Century Boys was the best series I read last year, and to be honest, I think it deserves to smack Pluto down at the Eisners, because it's not that Pluto is a bad series. It's just that it just shows that Urasawa and his co-author Takashi Nagasaki, don't have any facility for actual science fiction storytelling. All right, so let me tell you a little about the story for in Astro Boy as it appeared. It's basically, the original story basically had the Sultan from some Middle Eastern kingdom, creating this great awesome robot named Pluto, and telling him to go out and smash the 7 greatest robots on Earth. Now he does so, but Pluto's he's only acting on his programming and as his direction. He's actually got his own. He actually feels kind of bad that he's trying to do stuff like this. And there's also he's got a sense of honor when fighting Astro, and it's for what it is. It's not a bad kid story. I mean, there's lots of stuff that has I'm going to have. See, I can't fight you right now because I've been sworn to. I can't fight because I can't fight humans. I was and I've also got to. Let's see, and I just got my own principles to uphold as well. But I don't know. It's not bad. I mean, I can imagine if I had read this as a kid, I probably would have had as much respect for it as all these authors who spoke about it in the back matter of Pluto did. But it's just like a kid's story. It's like robots fight, things blow up, and plot twists occur out of thin air. I mean, it's not a bad story. I mean, there's a format of moral ambiguity in showing how Pluto isn't evil himself, but he's only obeying his programming. So, right. And so to me, also there is a fair amount of room for Urasawa to bring the story up, to introduce the story to the modern audience, basically to reintroduce the story to all people who thought it was awesome years ago, and show you, hey, the story is still great today. He succeeds partly because the thing is, this time he focuses on one of the supporting robots in the first series, a German robot inspector named Geist, and he's an interesting character because he's basically a robot detective. He's got his programming. He's solved we're told that he solved lots of crimes, and that he's one of the top he's the top robot inspector for Europol. And the story starts out much like the original manga did, with this death of Mount Blanc. This kind of robot who's kind of like the Smokey the Forest Bear of robots in Switzerland. And then from there, let's see, North Number 5, a robot killing machine goes in, who doesn't want to be a killing machine anymore. He's basically learning how to compose music from a very cranky composer. Is destroyed as well. I mean, and people are wondering, why are these robots dying? What's the cause of them? What's causing this? And Geist is on the case, trying to find out. Now, the thing is, some of these robots look human, but don't appear human. North Number 5 and Mont Blanc look like robots. But then others, like the Turkish wrestler Brando, and also the great robot fighter Hercules, look human. They walk they look like a character from Urasawa's other manga. Same with Astro Boy, who is basically identified as Adam in this series. And it's like looking at when you see Adam introduced. I mean, he looks like a normal kid, like someone who not the strongest robot on Earth with 100,000 horsepower, as he's described in Tezuka's manga. And that's kind of like the flaw of the series. I mean, these robots, they're not they don't look like robots. They're human, and that's the thing that gets me about Tezuka's adaptation, because he's not about Urasawa's adaptation, is that he's not that rather than just try and make the story work for the modern, in a more modern realistic setting, he does that. He brings it into a more realistic, real world setting, but he's also adapting Tezuka's humanistic robot worldview, because you look at the robots in Tezuka's manga, and they're basically human, except for the fact that they look like robots. And that's what he's doing right here. That's what Urasawa is doing. And for a story that ultimately that's ultimately about the dangers of what happens when you make your robots entirely human, it loses its punch when your robots are actually human themselves. I mean, there's some lip service given to the fact that these robots are given their artificial intelligence is inhibited to the point where their emotions are subdued and don't function in the way that humans do. But it basically just means that they've got emotions, they're just really subdued about it. So you're dealing with robots that basically are human, but only manifest this when real plot critical points allow, and that leads to what I call robot bullshit.
Okay.
Just tell me, John. Now, if I told you that a robot was able to overcome its programming against killing humans because it hated a human hard enough. Would you say that's believable or like plausible in your mind?
Oh, no. Absolutely not. I mean, is it plausible for it to overcome its programming?
Yeah.
Sure asking. That asks me to betray certain things that I believe about robots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing like having robots overcome their programming, like it's kind of like a hallmark of a lot of science fiction, including lots of science fiction movies,
right,
as well. But if you're gonna do that, you need to actually explain how this has happened. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, and but to have a robot hate someone hard enough, I mean, that just takes me out of the warp right there. I just think, no, that's not possible. I mean, if you're saying that the robot has the full range of human emotions, I mean, that doesn't make him a robot. That just makes him human.
Right.
And at what point, any comparisons you're making against human actions is kind of lost right there.
Right.
Yeah, and let's see, I even asked my sister about this, and she's not a big science fiction fan. She thought it was stupid as well. Even my mom, who is not a science fiction fan at all, thought that it was crap as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the kind of that takes you out of the world that Urasawa is creating here, and it just doesn't seem, it just makes it seem less credible and less valid as a result. I mean, I can see that he's trying to honor Tezuka's vision, but when you're bringing this into the modern world, and you gotta do more than that. I mean, right. and Tezuka and Urasawa and Nagasaki just don't do that. I mean, in fact, a lot of their other other bits where they're trying to where they do stuff that probably would seem alright when Tezuka was doing it back in his day, just come off as trite or even insensitive. Like at one point, Geist goes to Persia in order to I talked with one of the top robot scientists, and he meets this one robot who is basically a robot urchin. He's a robot child who has basically been injured in the recent war with the United States of Thracia, and he's missing parts, and you're just saying dude, why would you even create a robot like that? I mean, a robot that's basically a war orphan. I mean, God, man, that's depressing. Why have this? I know it's horrible to have the kids in wartime, but just to have a robot that's basically a stand-in for them. No, you're depressing. Let me turn you off and then sell you for spare parts so you don't bother anymore. I mean, that's what you do for robots like that. You don't have them just be a stand-in for war orphans. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Right. Another part, one that's crucial to the plot, is basically when it's revealed that Geist adopted a robot that was about to be turned in for scrap metal as a child. I mean, it's basically a small robot that apparently has been programmed like a baby for some reason. I don't know why. It's just, I look at this and I think, it's I can see it. A small robot. Yeah, it looks like it could be a stand-in for a baby. And, but beyond that, I mean, how is this? I can understand them trying to raise a child. I like Steven Spielberg's AI, but this, I mean, it sounds like we're asked to accept the fact that a small robot with the programming of a child just is. It exists like this just because of how that's how the plot demands it, and I just can't. It drives me nuts like that. So it takes me out of the warp because but overall the plot itself is generally sound. I mean, Urasawa. I mean, man's a fantastic artist, a great storyteller. I mean, even with this stuff. I mean, the mystery of who Pluto is and what his goals are. It honors Tezuka very well because there is that he keeps that element of moral ambiguity the original story had, and that works really really well over the course of the series. I mean, yeah, it's like I mean when I was reading this, I mean like I was still engrossed in the plot, but I was also still reading because like I wanted to because it was still even interesting. Like, in spite of the fact that like all of its failures and inconsistencies like made it more interesting, I wanted to analyze why it was so bad, because I wanted to do this podcast too. So, but even then, it's like there's still some issues with the stuff that Urasawa added for the series. Like there's the robot killer Brow 1859. I think that's what he's called. But he's basically, he's basically like Anthony Hopkins wrote, he's had a lecture in Silence of the Lambs. And he's a robot who killed a human, and we're not told exactly why he did it or how he did it. But he's basically only there so that guys can have a criminal mastermind to confer with and find out what the next thing he should be doing is. And then you've also got the countries of Persia and the United States of Thracia. Now, as you all know, Persia as a country doesn't quite exist today, but after a while it's like it comes clear that Persia is kind of the stand-in for Iraq, and I'm ashamed to admit that it took me until like the last volume that the United States of Thracia, which I took to be some sort of analog for Greece, is actually an analog for us, the United States of America. And once you realize that, it just becomes a crushingly unsubtle take on the war on terror here. And it's just one of those things where it's just kind of like, I imagine this probably plays a lot better in the rest of the world. But for me, it's like I just look at this and think, I've read better takes on the war on terror. I know America's been a real asshole on this thing, but this, it's like, all right, acknowledge. Let's move on, please. The new stuff he created for this, I don't know. Interesting. It seems that like he had a much better handle on the old school stuff, bringing it up to the modern era, rather than all the new stuff he created, which is, just kind of ultimately very disappointing. So overall, I mean, the series isn't bad. I mean, chances are it's like, I can't say I would recommend against reading this, but really it's like, to me it's like it just stands as a marker for just like, sometimes science fiction actually needs science. Like you actually need logic and like a strong scientific background in order to like explain some of the stuff you're doing, especially if you're trying to ground your series in the modern era. Now, Tezuka could get away with this stuff because he wasn't making like a timeless science fiction story. He was making a story to entertain kids of the era. But this time, Urasawa was trying to prove that this story stood the test of time, that it could work in the modern era, brought up to modern standards, and it just doesn't quite hold up. To be honest, I just spent a lot of time ranting about Hiroki Endo's Eden last week, but he's got a great handle on science fiction and characterization that I'd be interested in seeing his take on the matter. Then again, his work also involves lots and lots of sex as well. So, seeing that, that's not something I'd want to see Astro Boy involved in at all.
Yeah, disturbing at least.
So overall, it's not a bad series, but overall, there are better series out there that you can give your time to. Okay, but I'll be back next week to talk about something that hopefully I'll have more wholehearted praise for. And other than that, well, that's a wrap.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.